Welcome to the Academy, cadets. I am Grand Admiral Horath Drak, and I will teach you how to rule a galactic empire. When you graduate, you will know how to colonize a planet, build up your economy, design your ships, win wars, and everything else the Academy thinks you should know. There's a lot to talk about, so shut up and listen. And you two fools in the backbenches, drop down and give me 20. I do not care who you are, I just care about how much you know when you leave this place. Well, let's get to it.
There are many ways to boost your trade value in Stellaris 2.2, and I think I've collected them all in this video. The first and most obvious thing to increase your trade value is create more trade jobs. There are 3 jobs that will give you more trade value: merchants, clerks and executives. Let's talk about clerks first. Clerks will give you trade value and amenities. It is a worker level job. Can be done by the lowest stratum of your society. It can also be done by slaves, and it will give you 2 trade value and 2 amenities. It is not a very efficient use of your population, but it can help you give people jobs if you're having unemployment problems. There are a couple of ways to get additional clerk jobs. The most easy way to do it is by building more commercial zones or upgrading the commercial zones that you already have. With rare resources, you can use rare crystals to get higher level commercial zones. These will give you 5 clerk jobs each, and then the higher level ones even more. It's a very easy way to create a lot of jobs on your planet. The other ways to do it is by building districts. So we have city district, which in this case gives us 2 clerk jobs because we already have the tradition. So this gives us 9 times 2, so it gives us 18 clerk jobs. We get this because I've gone into the prosperity tree and I've got the interstellar franchising, which gives us 1 additional clerk job per district. There's also the special type of district on habitats, the trade district, that basically works like a commercial zone, but it is a district that you can build instead of having to build a building. So these are the ways that you can get additional clerks. The next type of job that gives you more trade value, probably the most efficient at doing that, is the merchant. Merchant is a ruler level job, so be careful. You want to keep these, and if you lose a merchant job slot, then it will take them a very long time to demote to another stratum. But they will provide you with 8 trade value each, and also 5 amenities. If I'm seeing that right, yeah, 5 amenities, 8 trade value. So these 5 people are producing 40 trade value. We would need 20 clerks to do this, so these guys are vastly more efficient than the clerk jobs. How do you get more merchants? Well, you get them from the Galactic Stock Exchange building. This gives us 2 merchant jobs. You can get a special building from the Caravaneers, the Numistic Shrine over here, which gives us 2 merchant jobs. And you can also go ahead and if you finish the prosperity tree, you get 1 merchant job per 50 population on a planet, which means 50 population you get 1, at 100 population you have a second slot open up, 150, and so forth. The third way is by civics. So if you choose the the Merchant Guild Civic, your capital buildings will provide a merchant job instead of the administrator job. So you have 1 administrator, 1 merchant, and thereby you have like additional merchant jobs on all your planets, boosting your trade value. The third job that increases your trade value is the executive. So if you're playing a mega corporation, your normal administrators will be replaced by executives. These guys produce 4 trade value and 5 amenities. It is increased here for me because my guys are thrifty, which increases their trade value from jobs by 25%, but it is 4 as a baseline from each executive. This gives you quite a nice boost to your trade value on all your planets if you're playing a mega corporation, because you're getting like a baseline of a couple of units of trade value as soon as you settle a planet. Like I have this colony over here. These colonists are not doing it for me, but as soon as we have like the normal colony building, you get these executives and they are boosting your trade value that you get from the planet. There are no real ways to increase the amount of executives that you have, contrary to the clerks and the merchants, other than increasing the level of your planetary administration building. So we have this, which gives us 2, and then we can upgrade it once we reach 40 pops on the planet, so that we have 3, and then there's a third building that you can build once you have 80 population. Pops influence your trade value in 2 ways. 1, by the amount of them just being there, and 2 via trades. So let's talk about just the normal trade value that you get just by having pops on your planet. So on this planet we have 44 pops of various species. We get 14.45 from these guys. This is kind of dependent on the living standards, so giving them higher living standards makes them produce a tad more trade value. It is around about 0.3 in my experience that you can get trade value just by having more pops. Now, you get more pops by increasing your pop growth. There are various ways to do this. This will probably be a separate video because pops are so important in 2.2. But just as a quick reminder, you want to go for food policy, you're going to go for nutritional plenitude. That's going to give you 10% pop growth speed. And if you can afford it, definitely always put down the encourage planetary growth for another plus 25% growth speed. This is very, very helpful. This also kind of leads us nicely into the next way that your pops can help you with your trade value. Because if you give them the trait fast or rapid breeders, then they also get additional pop growth speed, which will then, over the long term, also increase your trade value. The other thing that you can do with these is go for thrifty, which increases the trade value that you get from jobs by 25%. That is a very nice trait and can massively boost the amount of trade value that you get from your pops. Buildings and station modules can also increase your trade value quite a bit. So if we go onto the station, you can see that I've built the off-world trading company. This produces 2 trade value for each trade hub that I have on the station. So if I max it out and put all the trade hubs on it, I'm going to get an additional 16 trade value. It's not a huge amount, but it doesn't cost any upkeep. It's just a one-time cost of 100 alloys. And if you already have those trade hubs on there, then you might as well. In terms of buildings, the main building that you want to build is the Galactic Stock Exchange. We already talked about this when we talked about the merchant jobs, but it also does give you that plus 20% trade value boost, which is like a double bonus. You get the merchant jobs and you get the 20% increase for trade value. And if you can get your hands on the new Mystic Shrine, it doesn't give you a percentage bonus, but at least it provides you some additional merchant jobs. Another way of boosting your trade income is by leaders. So if you have a good relation with the enclaves, with the trading enclaves, then you can get a governor from them with the enclave trader trait, and that increases the trade value on all the planets that this governor governs by 10%, which can be significant if these have a high base trade value. Another way to increase the trade value of your entire empire is by accepting this offer from the Caravaneers. That is going to boost your trade value by 15% across your entire empire. Don't take the text that says 10% as gospel, because it is not true. It is actually 15%, both in the empire modifiers over here and on the planet. So that is probably a typo in there. We can see the Vengralian Triumph increases it by 15%. There's no way for you to influence if you do get that or not. You have to just hope that you get offered the thing. There are only 2 civics geared towards giving you more trade value. The first one is just for mega corporations, and it is the free traders over here, boosting your trade value by 10%. The other one is the merchant guilds that we already talked about, giving you more merchant jobs. So that is like an indirect boost to your trade value by providing those jobs, but it is not a percentage boost. Those 2 are the civics that are most geared towards a trade-heavy playstyle. Ethics increase the trade value of your empire both directly and indirectly. So directly is by just a flat-out bonus. Xenophiles do get a bonus to trade value. So if you're just a normal xenophile, you get 10% trade value modifier, and if you're a fanatic xenophile, you get 20%, which is significant. Indirectly, this influences the trade value that you can get by kind of ensuring that other people are more inclined towards interacting with you diplomatically than compared to you being a xenophobe. But it also changes the traditions that are open to you. So your diplomacy tree, if you are xenophobic, will actually be the adaptability tree, and then this will change. So you won't have the open markets. This boosts your trade value by another 10%. So you get like a 30% boost out of this compared to the xenophobes, who will get 10% planetary habitability in this in the slot. Or if they don't have trade value, then they're going to have something else. But yeah, this will switch with the open markets. And as we can see, it is being applied over here. Open markets plus 10%. The last major factor influencing your planetary trade value is stability, planetary stability. So on this planet we have 100% stability, and as you can see it boosts our trade value on here by 30%. That is a huge modifier considering all the other modifiers that we've talked about so far. And this also makes it so that every tradition that increases your stability becomes an indirect buff to trade. And this can be achieved, high stability can be achieved by going certain traditions, having very happy pops. To have happy pops, you need amenities, and you need enough housing for them. So everything that increases amenities and increases housing that you have indirectly boosts your trade value, depending on your ascension perk. Like we guys are psychic over here, that gives us another 5 stability. All this will lead to more trade value on your planets. Let's go through the traditions bit by bit here. So let's talk about things that influence the stability with the traditions. First and foremost, the harmony tradition tree is the one that you want if you want to boost stability. You get the utopian dream, reducing pop amenities usage. That leads to more free amenities. That leads to happier pops. Happier pop leads to more stability because of higher pop approval. The other thing is the harmony finisher gives you plus 5% stability flat out, which is super useful. You could also say that the 10% pop growth speed increases your trade value by just boosting the amount of pops that you have, but that is an effect that is minuscule. The other thing that really helps you is the crime reduction over here in the domination tree, so the judgment corp, because crime is pretty bad for stability, so you should take this if you're having crime problems or being settled by a criminal syndicate. And the ruler level cap will also help you keep crime down. Then you can also boost stability with buildings. So the Psycho is a building that you get if you go for the Psionic Ascension path. That just gives you a flat out 5 stability, and you get the Psychic boost from the plus 5 as well, which is being applied because we have a Psychic Governor. So maybe you can get your hands on a Psychic Governor without being Psychic. That would also help you there. And then the last thing that boosts your stability is the Pacifist ethic. So if you have pacifist ethic, normal pacifists are gonna gain 5 stability, and fanatic pacifists are gonna gain 10 stability right off the bat, and that is gonna boost your trade value. So the one thing that only sort of increases your trade value are commercial pacts, contrary to the description. So let's talk about how that works. If you go for a commercial pact, the description says this will increase the value of both empires' trade networks. And it sort of does. Okay, so if we go in here, it says we're going to get 10 credits, and then we'll get 748 energy and some unity, because we are on the unity trade policy. So if you have a look at this, we're currently making 75.60 from trade. And we're making 22.68 from trade. So these guys are getting 10% of what we're making. We've got to pay some influence. Now, we will get that money, those 1033, although it will be converted into our trade policy. So let's just go for this. Normal speed. We're going to just go to the end of the month. They took the commercial pact. We're going to wait until the month takes over. Okay. And as you can see now, our trade has gone up to 80.75, which means we got like half of what they're giving us due to our trade policy, and then the rest gets added to our unity with a certain factor. But even though our trade has increased, the sizes of our trade network should have been grown by 10. If we're going to go for another commercial pact here, for example with these guys, it doesn't matter that they're going to say no. We're still going to give them the exact same amount. So yes, you do get 10% of their trade value worth, but it is not being included and counted as yours. What is happening is you get the money, but you have no benefit of having multiple commercial pacts where maybe you could think that maybe it compounds or something, where you are a free trade empire that increases its value exponentially by having commercial pacts with everyone. So you will just get that flat amount instead of being able to compound that. So keep that in mind. You've reached the end of this lecture. Well done, cadet. If you found it really helpful, leave a like. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section so I can answer them.
If you want to learn more, consider subscribing to this channel. And if you found it really helpful and want to support me doing more of this, then consider becoming my patron on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I hope I see you in one of my other videos. Cheers!